In Berlin, statement from January 21, 2015, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Germany, France, and Russia, they called to immediate ceasefire and pulling back heavy weapons from the line of separation according to Minsky agreements. But civilians in Donbas continue to die because of shelling of gangs and militants. The list of victims of cynical attacks near Volnovakha, including is added with new names of civilians who died as a result of shelling upon a trolley bus in Donetsk. Minister of Foreign Affairs despises any use of armed forces against civilians, and Ukraine is complying with the ceasefire and does everything possible to prevent further victims among civilians. Artillery must get quiet, and the regime of ceasefire should be reestablished again. Militants, Russian regular units, and heavy military equipment, weapons must leave the territory of Ukraine. The control of Ukraine over state border must be re-established. These steps will bring peace and security to Donbas, and that will allow to investigate all death and to preserve lives of people. Special Monitoring Commission, OSCE, in the east of Ukraine, in this report, they provided evidence of Ukrainian military men Kyiv about the use by pro-Russian militants. They used chemical weapons and chemical gas in Donetsk airport, and as he says, many Ukrainian cyborgs of they were poisoned, and now they collect evidence about this incident. The use of chemical weapons is prohibited by the Convention on Prohibition of Development, Accumulation and Use of Chemical Weapons, and it's about this instrument in 1993 that was signed by 190 countries of the world. During the last day, the situation in ATO area can be described as a heavy opposition between the Russian terrorist groups and units of ATO. Militants are trying to hold strategically good positions for further military operations. Russian Federation continues to strengthen its military contingent in the east of Ukraine. On key operational directions, there is a replacement of groups of militants, and they are replaced with military men of Russian Federation. General number of whom on those territories is the highest since the beginning of the conflict in Donbas. More than 9,000 of Russian military men. The command of Russian Federation provides the supplies of men and military equipment, and they also have anti-aircraft means and intelligence or electronic fight. Because of Ukrainian, the part of Ukrainian-Russian border is not controlled, they bring a lot of ammunition, about 30-40 trucks a day. With that goal, and also to provide rotation of Russian military men to the border with our state, they redislocated some units of armed forces of Russian Federation, including the 20th Guard Army of Western District of Russian Federation, with the staff in Nizhhorodsky region. Militants of so-called DNR and NLR was shelling upon the position of ATO in all the directions. They used artillery, mortars, tanks, and radar system. During the last day, we lost 3 Ukrainian military men and 50 were wounded. Yesterday, with the goal to discredit armed forces of Ukraine, the leadership of terrorist organization DNR, they organized a march of prisoners in Donetsk that was meant to humiliate Ukrainian military men, and that contradicts the norms of Geneva Convention from 1945. It was condemned by Amnesty International and OSCE. At present, there are active negotiations with leaders of gangs on liberation of Ukrainian prisoners, and we were able to liberate 3 and to return bodies of 8 who died. In Luhansk region, on the territory which is under LNR, there were fights between terrorists and Cossacks of Ataman Kozitsyn. leader Kozitsyn of Cossacks, leader of Cossacks. As a result, under Stalin, there was a school and where there were lessons, and luckily, no casualties. In Donetsk region, because of the shelling by terrorists upon Kirov, Dzerzhinsky city council and northern mine is without power, and 80 miners were underground because of operational and professional work of Ukrainian rescuers. All miners were taken up to the surface. To Krasnoyarsk in Donetsk region, a group of IDPs came from Severny, from Yasynovate district, and 35 of them, 7 children. IDPs in a school, were placed in a school, and they provided with food and hygiene items. In Konstantinov district in Donetsk region, representatives of Ukrainian authorities, they handed out humanitarian aid and informal food, children food, and mattresses and pillows. And there is a work of operational groups to provide police to provide public orders, and in order to strengthen ATO means SBU and Perovansk, Kharkiv region had a successful special operation to arrest a militant from Oplot group.
We are now at the garage where we are surveying the site of the accident. We found fragment of a letter, and in the bucket we see a piece of cloth, within which there's a handgun, with a live ammunition. Also, there are rounds of ammunition in the bucket. We will count them later. A live round, 7.62 revolver. It has been established that a 35-year-old local resident took part in combat on the side of the terrorist organization DNR against the armed forces of Ukraine in the vicinity of the cities Starobeshchevo and Dokuchaysk, Donetsk region, and you saw how the law enforcers found his pistols and rounds of ammunition. Ukrainians display vigilance and disrupt sabotage. Yesterday in the city of Smila, Cherkasy region, on the territory of a railway station named after Taras Shevchenko, by the pedestrian bridge, they found a bag which contained 3 grenades, 600 grams of explosive, and a explosive device. The Ukrainian authorities thanked the patriots for vigilance, and there's a regular wave of partial mobilization in Ukraine. On the 20th of January, in the first day of mobilization in Kharkiv, more than 2,000 volunteers, patriots who are prepared to fight for their motherland with arms in their hands, have come to local military commissariats. Also in January, only in Kharkiv, more than 100 residents of Donbas displayed their desire to serve in the armed forces of Ukraine. Yesterday, President Poroshenko signed a decree about awarding Ukrainian military for their personal valor and heroism, high level of professionalism, and keeping to their military oath. 170 military servicemen were awarded, starting from private soldiers to officers, riflemen, intelligence servicemen. Ukraine continues to technically re-equip the army. Today, on the 23rd of January, on Goncharivsky testing ground, there's a show of armaments and military vehicles that are being developed by the Ukrainian military-industrial complex. We will present a new lightly armored vehicle with an automated block of armaments Cyborg, a grenade launcher with ammunition of high power, infantry flamethrower, a drone, Moto Delta plan for special operations, and others. Yesterday, from Rivne region to the zone of anti-terrorist operation, a mobile set for warming and rest and defense of Ukrainian warriors was sent. It's meant to hold in 20 fighters and will be placed on one of the road checkpoints in Luhansk region. In Odessa, the students of Berezovsky High Professional School of the Odessa National Polytechnic have produced masking meshes and sent them to the anti-terrorist operation zone.